Welcome back to Game Day U, powered by Bear Financial. I am joined by the sharpest dressed man in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Curtis, thanks for joining us. He's a host for the Poke Report, correct?
Yeah, Poke Report, O State TV. We air every Saturday before OSU plays.
Okay, well let's get into a little breakdown of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. You know, the loss last week to Baylor. How has that affected them as a team, do you think?
Honestly, I think it exploited their biggest weakness more than anything. And if it didn't do that, then the Iowa State game did that. Because if you've watched this Oklahoma State team, running is their biggest weakness on offense and on defense. On offense last week, Baylor ran for more than 300 yards on the Cowboys, and they just couldn't stop Shock Linwood. They couldn't stop Devin Chafin. Then you look at the offense. Mason Rudolph, mostly by sacks, he rushes for minus 38 yards. Chris Carson has 20, and then 4 other guys don't have more than 6. So they run for a total of 8 yards on Baylor. That's not anything you can do to be successful. So I think they're really frustrated with their run game. It was something that they've been struggling with all year. We saw it against Central Arkansas, Central Michigan. And so if they can get rebound on the run in the run game, I think they have a chance tonight. But when you've got running backs at OU like Samaje Perine, like Joe Mixon, that could be a problem that is exploited with the defense again.
See, now OSU got a gift last night with the TCU beating Baylor. And this game, people are asking for a Big 12 title game, and they got it. This is it today for all the marbles.
Oh, yeah.
I'm under the impression that even if OU wins, it will be hard for them to get in the college football playoff. Do you agree?
I think that Oklahoma is the best chance the Big 12 has at getting into the college football playoff. I don't think an 11-1 Oklahoma State makes it. I think if Baylor wins last night, an 11-1 Baylor doesn't make it. And so if Oklahoma wins, they have a legitimate shot. Now, The one thing that plays to the Sooners' disadvantage, next week is conference championship week, and OU, OSU, KU are all off.
Yeah, they're all off. So let's talk more about this OSU defense. Emmanuel Ogbah, obviously the biggest name, but who else are some guys that we can look for on the defensive side of the ball?
Chad Whitener. Ever since Ryan Simmons went down with an injury, Chad Whitener has stepped up big time. He's filled that void incredibly. On the defensive back area, you've got Jordan Stearns at safety, and he's been playing exceptionally well all year. Jordan Stearns is our leading tackler. I don't know that many people know that. A lot of people think it's Emmanuel Ogbah. I know I thought it was Emmanuel Ogbah before I looked through the game notes.
I thought it was Emmanuel Ogbah, just sitting here right now.
Jordan Stearns is the team's leading tackler. He does it quietly. Another guy who contributes a little bit is Ramon Richards. When Ramon Richards plays well, OSU plays well. I don't know that they necessarily ride by him, but it definitely appears that way. And so it's a lot of the defensive backs, Ramon Richards, Jordan Stearns, Kevin Peterson too. He's got to be healthy for the Cowboys to play well and to cover receivers like Sterling Shepard, KD Cannon, and all these explosive receivers that OSU's had to cover in the month of November.
Let's look on now at the offensive side of the ball. Something a little quirky about the Cowboys, the 2-quarterback system. It seems to work. Mm-hmm. I mean, you would know better than I do. How well is it actually working?
I don't know that it's working quite as well as 06 Florida whenever they had Chris Leak and when they had Tim Tebow. But it's so weird because they are so drastically different. Mason Rudolph is incredible in long yardage situations, and it's spreading the ball around the field. But then you've got J.W. Walsh. He can come in, get that short yardage, get that short yard. He's great inside the red zone. He's great on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 because he doesn't need to spread the field. He has a condensed area to work with, and he's great at doing that. He's a lot more mobile than Mason Rudolph is. Rudolph's a lot better in the pocket. He can stand back in the pocket, go from sideline to sideline without hesitation. J.W. Walsh can use his feet and create plays, and I think that just the vast difference between the two players is a defensive nightmare. It is.
Yeah, I agree. I think the 2-quarterback system might be OU's. If OU has an Achilles heel in this game, I think it's that. Washington is probably the biggest playmaker on OSU's offensive side of the ball. Who's another guy who when OSU needs to play, he's one to make it.
David Glidden, native of Mustang.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, James Washington was kind of riding on Glidden's coattails, so to speak. And when David Glidden, he's not a big, flashy guy. He's a short, kind of undersized slot receiver. He can run it. He runs solid routes, and when he gets it seems like defenses forget about him. Baylor forgot about him a couple times. TCU forgot about him a couple times. Iowa State. He just finds ways to get open, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah,
it's fun to watch David Glidden get open. Now another one that we need to watch for is Jalen McCleskey. When McCleskey is playing well, it seems like the offense is clicking. But McCleskey's the punt returner also, so when he drops a couple punts, it seems like it gets in his head, and then he drops some passes on offense.
So this game obviously has big-time implications. Does OSU go into this game with any sort of, not scared mentality, I want to say, but there's a lot riding on the line compared to last year's Bedlam?
I don't think they have anything to lose. I think OSU is playing this game with nothing to lose. At worst, they go to the Alamo Bowl, which is the Big 12's top non-New Year's Six bowl game now. At best, they're going to a New Year's Six bowl game. Not the Cotton Bowl or the Orange Bowl, I don't think, but a trip to the Fiesta Bowl is never a bad thing. A trip to the Peach Bowl is never a bad thing.
OSU just, to me, seems like a team that before the Baylor game just found ways to win. It wasn't pretty sometimes. They had some tough wins on the road at Iowa State is the first one I think of. They played people close, but they get wins. Is that all that really matters for this team, or do people in Stillwater need to see them blow people out like days of old?
The fans definitely want to see blowouts. They don't want to see a double overtime game in Morgantown. They don't want to see a close game against Kansas State where OSU doesn't have the lead until late in the fourth quarter. They don't want to see an Iowa State disaster or a Texas Tech disaster. They want to see a lot of the KU game. Now, of course, the coaching staff understands that's not going to be the case. They talk about it every week. Guys from the Tulsa World and Oklahoma are asking them that week in, week out. No. It just doesn't work that way. And you know as well as I do in football that that's just not football.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that they're able to come back, find ways to win, albeit in the Kansas State game, some people, especially Kansas State fans, might credit that to injury at the quarterback position. But when you've got these games when you figure out ways to win like this, I don't know that you can use that against anybody. It's kind of like Florida State last year. Everyone's talking, they found a way to win. It's the same mentality to me.
What does Oklahoma State need to do to get a win today?
They need to run.
That's pretty simple.
they need to use the run game because when Oklahoma's going to have Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon, and Baker Mayfield, they can all run. Mason Rudolph can't run. J.W. Walsh can, but you don't want to put all the pressure on him. Then the running backs have to step up. You can't rush for 5 yards, 6 yards. Raymond Taylor, Rennie Childs, 5 yards, 6 yards against Baylor. That's not going to do it. If that happens, it's going to be a long night for OSU.
Baker Mayfield coming off a concussion. People have been able to get pressure on OU, on Baker Mayfield especially. The OU offensive line, if OU has a weak spot, that's probably it. How much blitzes do you think OSU dials up today?
I think when you've got Jimmy Bean, actually, I'm not entirely sure Bean's playing. I take that back. But when you have Emmanuel Ogba, when you have Vincent Taylor on the line, I think Glenn Spencer's going to take advantage of that. Blitzes are not uncommon when you look at the OSU defense. Well,
Curtis, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. I'll get you out of here on a score prediction, though. Okay. Give me a final score.
I'm thinking OU wins it tonight. I'm going to take it 45-28.
Wow. Okay, 45-28. Curtis Quillen says it. Tell people where to watch the Poke Report.
The Poke Report, you can watch it on Cox Cable today, channel 1334, or you can watch it on demand, ostate.tv.
All right, Curtis Quillen, thanks for joining us. We'll be right back on GamedayU, powered by ABF Financial.